aircraft, then you owe something to this, because we now know that air travel is one of the safest forms of travel that there is. It's far more dangerous driving to an airport than it is then getting on the plane and going off in it. And as I say, that owes a lot to what happened with this. So this is part of the wreckage of a Comet airliner. So the Havilland Comet was brought into service in 1952 with BOAC, which became BA. And 1952, you know, just as kind of the start of mass air travel, still very expensive. And the Comet was a particularly comfortable aircraft to travel in, apparently. So it went into service, and then in a fairly short space of time, there were 3 fatal crashes of Comets. This one crashed off the island of Elba in the Mediterranean in 1954, and 35 people died. It was decided to find out what was going on, because there had been these three crashes, as I say, in fairly short order. So divers went down and recovered as much of the aircraft as they could, and they took it to the Royal Aircraft Establishment, which Dave mentioned earlier, and in Farnborough, which, as we pass, there's a model of the island just there. And they did research into all sorts of aspects of aircraft. And what they did, they built a sort of wooden base for the aircraft, and then put all the bits they'd found around it to try and work out what had gone on. Now, it's quite a famous story, so you might have heard this one before, but one of the things they realised was that cracks had formed, particularly around the corners of the windows. And these aren't windows as such; they're the ADF rangefinders, navigation equipment, but the passenger windows were fairly similar. So what had gone on? Well, as an aircraft goes through its working life, it has to go up in the air a lot and obviously down again. And as it goes up, there's the pressure that lowers and it expands, and as it goes down again, it contracts again. So you've got a lot of expansion and contraction going on, and that can cause cracks to form in the metal, and that's what we call metal fatigue. There are certain things that would cause cracks to propagate quickly, and corners are one of them. They're a stress, they concentrate the stress in the metal, and cracks can go quite quickly out from the corner of a square. So that was one thing. Another thing was that these holes round here, in the specification, they should have been drilled out, and they were actually punched out, and that caused more stress than drilling. And the whole thing was meant to be glued on, and it wasn't properly glued on. So there were a few things going on. As a result, the Comet was changed to have rounded windows and other modifications. And of course, we now know today that all aircraft have those rounded windows. We don't go on aircraft with square windows. The key thing about it was the first systematic air accident investigation, certainly of a civil aircraft. And now, of course, any crash is systematically investigated, and lessons are learned to take forward and make air travel even safer. So it starts with a tragedy, but if you think about the number of people who've flown safely now, then it ends up with some good has come out of it, is what I guess I'm trying to say.